snap. 3, 2, 1.
Boom.
Perfection. Never been a better boom.
Tell you what, I've boomed and I've boomed, but that was a boom right there.
How many times in a row are we going to? How much like boom based humor can there be? You know?
Unlimited.
It's a wealth.
Just an abundant amount.
An abundance.
An abundance.
An abundance of.
Oh, good stuff.
I guess we can get started. Welcome to Squirreling, episode 128. I'm Ket, and joining me, of course, as always, Davey Starjumper. How you doing, man?
Still happy to be here. How about that?
Okay, yeah, we're adding words. That's good. We're building on
just
the introduction.
Really changing it up. Felt like coming in from a different direction.
Still happy to be here. That implies that there may come a time that could change. So
I was more, reinforcing in case people were wondering. Still happy to be here.
That's good.
It's all about the word emphasis there. If it's still happy, I don't know. Still happy to be here. Maybe that's the better way to say it. Still happy to be here. Maybe that has a more. I don't know. Now I've confused myself.
Let's go back to the boom-based humor. I think that was working a little better.
The boom is a better. The audience has responded more positively to the boom-based humor.
No, we're here to talk about the Elder Scrolls Online. Of course, the Gold Road chapter is live. It's like a little over a week old, and we've been playing around with it. Davius, I know you've been in there. Have you completed the quest, or how far are you?
Well, here's the deal.
Here it comes.
Here it comes. I have more to say on this, but we'll wait. As far as the specific zone quests, like the quest line, I have not completed the very first quest. But I have, I've been to the city and the zone, so,
Well, hey, that's something.
That's
that's good.
That's a piece.
I've seen you logged in a lot lately, so you got to be doing something.
I've been playing a lot lately. It's just my squirrel brain has really squirreled.
Oh, okay.
So
it's the okay. Say no more. It's the squirrel.
Exactly. Blame the squirrels. Okay.
All right. Well, I did it. I finished the story. I pretty much 100% of the thing. I think the only thing I haven't done is the trial, but. In the zone, all the icons are white. I've completed the quests and all the side quests and everything. And I liked it. I enjoyed it.
I did not realize that you had completed the side quest already. I'm very impressed with this.
On my days off, those 2 days, I didn't really have anything else going on. I got my house all cleaned up and kind of got all my affairs in order. And then I just dove all the way in and just knocked it out.
Very nice.
And really, I wasn't really powering through. It really wasn't like a chore. I enjoyed it. I was genuinely, I was taking lots of breaks. I'm like, all right, I'll come back and finish this quest up and that kind of thing. And
I do feel like, just from conversations and that we've had, I feel like there's very positive feedback on this expansion from you, like zone wise, quest wise, story wise, positive.
Yeah,
feedback.
I was kind of down on the zone during PTS because I logged into PTS and ran around and I was like, it looks kind of bland. But I think it was just the weather pattern is responsible for that, because once you spend some time in the zone, you're doing these quests and you're there for long periods of time and the weather changes and it's like that saturation just kind of gets cranked up to 11 all of a sudden. You really do see those beautiful moments, those golden fields appear, nice. It is all there. And shout out to Grizzly Khan. He and I were talking like it's probably a good thing that it's not like that all the time. That would kind of be too much. It's like Somerset's kind of that way. It's like overly. I feel like I've been using the word saccharine a lot lately, but it's overly saccharine though. Like when you spend a lot of time in Somerset, it's almost like too bright and too many colors.
Okay. I could see that. Now I'm gonna sidebars here. Or, okay. Maybe squirrelless in a different way. Maybe squirrel's going to be my word of the cast here. So let me say this. If we can, if you had to rank this into the expansion list, if you're ranking expansions,
oh no,
where are you fitting in Golden Road? And I've got the list of expansions if you need me to run through them real quick.
Let's see here. It's probably like just below Morrowind, maybe. I probably go like Somerset number one,
Yeah.
and then Elsewhere, then Morrowind, and then maybe this one.
Okay, so 4 out of the 8 total, right in the middle there.
This one and Necrom. This one and Necrom. I don't know. I liked Necrom,
Okay.
but they're like right neck and neck, right in there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that kind of makes sense too, because it's like, similar story, right?
Scrollingpodcast@gmail.com. Where does this one rank in the chapter?
In the chapter list.
What do you think? Where do you think? Where?
Well, I mean, I'm going to hold my ranking now.
It's not fair.
Well, I got to do the quest. I got to actually start the quest chain before I throw it in there.
All right, I'll calm down. Right.
I mean, I think it's easy to say Greymoor. Our list probably differs. Greymoor is my number 1, and then
no, God.
Hey, easy, hey, whoa, easy now, easy. This is back to my keyboard placement here.
Sorry, that was just like a natural reaction. I didn't mean to. It was just
that caught you off guard. I mean, come on, it's the home of the Nords. Nords, and it introduced mythic items. It's held up well.
Okay, all right.
And then I'd probably go Greymoor, Morrowind, Elsewhere, Somerset.
Okay.
High Isles at the bottom. I think we both agree on that one.
Yeah, it's down there. I don't know. I thought like Blackwood was pretty dull too. Like nothing really.
Yeah.
Like what was even Blackwood?
To me, the best part of Blackwood is that when you finally get through like the quest line, that final like run through the quest, like when you're finishing up, you're running through that final fight, and I thought that was actually they did a good job of making that feel like a very epic level fight.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, you're right about that.
So I think they did well on that part. I didn't love the Deadland zone. I thought that was not much they could do there, but just pretty burned and bland.
Yeah, it's like Apocrypha is like the cooler version of that.
There's color and wackiness to it, for sure.
Yeah. But this chapter, like the main story, I mean, of course you haven't done it. I won't spoil it, but I thought the story was actually interesting and cool. There's like some time bendy, parallel reality stuff kind of going on. I'm always a sucker for that kind of stuff, so that's cool.
Okay.
One of the side quests is just a straight up like dinner theater style murder mystery, which is pretty fun. I enjoyed that one quite a bit. And yeah, like I said, the zone's pretty cool. I really liked the wood elf kind of stuff where there a lot of the story and stuff involves the wood elves, and you are hanging out in their little villages and stuff. And the way that those spaces and everything are designed are really, really cool. It's like their vision of Grotwood and all of that has evolved quite a bit, and it's like if they could remake Grotwood like this, that would be really awesome. Nice.
Okay.
So I'm curious, whenever you finish the story, maybe you can come back on the podcast and tell me what I missed, because you're usually you're better at like catching like story stuff that I miss.
I'm a good sucker for the lore. Like I will get lost in some deep lore.
Yeah. So that like blighted area, that like dead area in the middle of the Westweld, you know what I'm talking about?
Yes.
Where like the land is just all dead and everything. Yeah. I didn't quite catch like why it's like that. I was thinking that was going to be a major aspect of the story, but they like kind of mentioned it like, oh yeah, there was like a war or something over there.
Okay. Yeah. I'll have to, as I'm questing, I'll try to keep an eye out for that.
Grizzly said he loved the murder mystery side quest. Yeah, I liked it too. It was really fun.
One thing I will say that I've noticed with just kind of the past expansions, and even this one, like the main city, Skingrad,
mm-hmm.
I feel like that one thing, and we talked about this a little bit and joked about it a little bit, they've gotten just so much incredibly better at designing these main cities. Like just the overall like impressiveness of them to me, like they stand out so much to me, just like, and I really truly think it's what they've really gotten better with is like the vertical design of them. Like there seems they're not like huge where they're a pain to travel through and they take too long to get through. It's just they've really increased like the vertical, what they're able to do. And so you really feel like you're in this impressive, massive, actual city. Whereas, some of these, this is the part we were joking about. Some of the older cities in the game, you go here and you're like, wait a minute, there's 8 buildings here. You're trying to tell me these 200 NPCs are making these 8 buildings work? Like something.
Yeah, where all these people go at night.
Yeah, something's up here. Something doesn't match up here. But and I even will go back all the way to Orsinium. Like I think for the longest time, Orsinium was the coolest city in the game, but I think that's part of why is because it was the most impressive looking. It was like huge towers, huge stone buildings. And so I think that's what led to that. And now I feel like they've really done, like they've got that design part down. They know how to make a city look very huge, impressive. And like, I actually believe these are massive cities where a whole bunch of people do live.
Yeah, and at the same time, they're laid out in a pretty convenient way, and they're not a pain to get around. And like all the merchants and stuff, like real clear paths to everything. And that's something about the zone in general that I really appreciated. Like I was never frustrated about trying to get around obstacles to figure out how to get to the waypoint or whatever. I can just go. Yep. I can just go there. Nothing in my way.
Yeah.
Keep an eye out if you visit the Cylorn public dungeon, the group event boss, the one that gives you a skill point. That dude's tough. I had to wait for help on that guy. I gave him 3 tries. He beat me 3 times. I could not solo him. If I kept trying, maybe I could have, but I ended up like, okay, I'm just going to wait for someone to come help me with this guy because he was tough. I'd never been like bested by a public dungeon boss before, so that was surprising.
Yeah.
I think he was a Minotaur. Yep.
Okay.
And a lot of ads and he was tough.
And that I think we talked about a little bit about this, but was it like potentially mechanics or just overall he was tough, high damage, really tanky?
Yeah, I mean he was a boss, so he had a lot of health and he had a lot of damage, and there was yes to all of those things.
Yes,
there were some mechanics that had to be observed. There was a lot of damage happening, and it took a lot of damage to kill him. So yeah.
That's kind of cool. I kind of like that.
If I'd been on my Arcanist, it would have been a cakewalk. I was on my Nightblade, just like on a questing build.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, the public dungeons are cool. The delves are all really cool. I saw someone in the zone chat say like, wow, these delves are like awesome, like top tier delve design. And I think I agree. Really awesome delves are just kind of like mini public dungeons. And they're pretty elaborate. And the quests are actually kind of interesting. And a lot of the quests, they've been doing this in recent chapters. A lot of the delve quests have pretty worthwhile rewards. You'll get like a style page or a skill style or something like that. So definitely worth checking out the delves.
The skill style is such a good idea for like just an extra layer of kind of like quest or, quest rewards, these kind of side rewards for it's kind of like the outfit station dies, like you get excited for certain one of those, but like they've done such a good job of like it seemingly is this small thing, but like I actually look forward to like getting these different skill style colors.
Oh yeah, they're awesome. I love the skill styles. They're great. I was planning to talk about those a little further down the list, but we can just talk about them. You get a lot of them just as random quest rewards, or like you'll just do some random achievement and then suddenly you have it. You get quite a few just kind of by accident right out of the gate. Which is pretty cool. Blue Vigor. If you do the scribing stuff, you'll get Blue Vigor, and that's on every tune. I have Blue Vigor on everything. It's awesome. It's like I turn my nose up. If I see a yellow Vigor, I'm like, oh, you still have the yellow Vigor, huh?
Oh, look at you. Oh, that Uncle Sam took that personally.
Let's see here. I thought the Miramore incursions were kind of neat. Kind of the zone's version of Dark Anchors. They covered a huge area. You have to like do these like mini events before you can do the main big one, and those mini ones are all like kind of out in the zone. You gotta like get on your mount and go do them and stuff.
Okay.
But otherwise, it's just kind of a reskin of a Dark Anchor. You kind of know what you're getting there.
Is it a whole bunch of mobs and then like select bosses, or just a bunch of mobs and then you work your way to the boss?
I'm not really clear.
Okay.
Seems like there's like a couple of different bosses that are kind of coming and going, and there's different phases and stuff.
Okay.
It seems like there's like two bosses that you're kind of dealing with, and one kind of becomes impervious from time to time, and
Okay.
I think I don't know.
You heard it here. Cat's locked it in 100%. This is the way.
I mean, there's like a gajillion people there, and I'm just spamming AoEs for the daily quest.
Yeah,
you know,
I'm just trying to get the check mark on this thing. This is chaos.
Yeah. Some of the characters, thought we could just kind of run down some of these. I thought the votary Nalia, your scribing buddy, she was pretty cool. She's a
good character.
Wood elf. Yeah.
And I will have to say this. I do have to give this disclaimer. I have completely done the scribing quest. I've done that beginning to end and all parts of that. So,
yeah, me too. That was the first thing I did before I started the actual chapter. I just ground out scribing right away and then started questing and stuff.
Yeah, but yeah, I did think that was a good character.
Yeah, you know, if Everly Sharp Arrow is maybe a bit much for you, then this character maybe is a good fit. You know, she's like a toned down version of Everly Sharp Arrow, I think. She's kind of
that's a good comparison.
Bright and chipper, but not like annoyingly so. I was surprised to see Laramil the Wise be kind of the main person again, like 2 chapters in a row that we're dealing with as we go through the story. You maybe aren't even far enough to have gotten that. Might be a spoiler for you, but
that's okay.
She's the main. I mean, that's really early on. It's not really much of a spoiler, but and really, it's a very direct tie-in to the previous chapter as well. So it makes sense that she's still around. But I was surprised to see that like directly from the previous chapter. The crow and the fox were pretty fun, especially the fox. Really fun little character there.
Great character design.
I thought this was interesting. Ulfsild. Ulfsild is like the person who did like the scribing research, I guess, and basically like invented the thing or discovered it or whatever. Half Nord, half Reach Folk, which I think Reach Folk are half Nord. So she's like 75% Nord, I guess.
No complaints over here.
But what I thought was interesting is she was the wife of Shalador.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting little lore tidbit there.
I actually thought like they did and I don't know, like maybe I'm overthinking it, but I thought they did a good job of like diving into that relationship a bit. Like it was a complicated relationship. Like there was complications there, and they kind of like hinted at why there was complications and what they both were doing and differences and disagreements. And I thought that was actually kind of like an extra layer than just leaving it at like, oh, this is Shalador's wife, and then moving on.
Yeah, they really gave that character some real attention. It's interesting how much attention they gave a character that you never really talked to.
That's true. Yeah, that is very true.
Yeah, the whole stuff with Ulfsild and really scribing in general was really fun. Another shout out to Grizzly Khan. He was saying in the Discord that it's like, hey, I just finished the scribing thing and I freaking loved it. It was awesome. You know, he just took his time and he wasn't really trying to grind through it as fast as he could. And you know, it sends you all out to different parts of the map. I mean, places I haven't been to since 2016, you know, like delves that I haven't seen in so long. And you go there and you're like, man, I remember this place. I remember this thing happening here. Wow.
Yeah.
Really cool feeling there. But back to the characters here. Athelia, that's the big one. That's a brand new Daedric prince that was, you know, like invented just now for this chapter. So added to the lore. So let's see. She's the Prince of Paths. There's many names, but I think that's the main one, Prince of Paths.
Yeah.
And it's all dealing with like parallel realities and that kind of stuff. And I thought she was pretty cool. I see a lot of criticism about the character model, and justified. There's some weird janky. I think there's just like some technical weirdness happening there with like lighting and textures. But the concept of the character, I kind of like her. She's kind of this hippie looking chick, you know. I think she's kind of cool looking. There's also the little wood elf guy that you talk to throughout the quest line. I can't even remember his name. That's about how memorable the dude is. He's just the most bland, like.
Is he Everly Sharp Arrow's like brother or something? Am I imagining?
I could believe that. I could definitely believe that. He looks very like basic, like a base game character. For sure. Okay. So I could definitely believe that.
I want to say it was Everly Sharp Arrow's brother or something.
And you were saying on the last episode how there's no companions this chapter, and it's true, there are no companions, but you do get these like temporary companions as you're questing that they function like companions. They help you fight and that kind of stuff. So it's interesting to see that they're still putting that tech to use, but they're not really, making any new companions.
I'm still very surprised by that. Like, it doesn't really bother me a whole lot, but I'm still very surprised that that was just kind of left off.
Yeah, and no, like very quietly too, nothing really said about it. And really, you don't really see anyone.
Yeah,
I'm on the forums pretty regularly. I don't really see anyone like
nobody's mentioned
making any angry forum posts or anything about it. So, hey, they had to try something. It was COVID, they had to try something.
Yeah.
So yeah, we talked a little bit about the scribing thing. The grind is a little lengthy. I think it maybe took me 6 hours or so to do all the quests involved. But I think what Grizzly was saying is the way to do it. Like, take your time, put on some music or a podcast or whatever, and just enjoy the ride. Like it really does take you to these parts of the map you haven't been to in forever and ever, and you're supposed to enjoy it.
Yeah.
I also think it's pretty funny and pretty interesting how they somehow continue to make new content out of old content.
Yes. They are a very green design company. They recycle, very good at recycling. Recycling skills are top notch.
And like the fighters and Fighters Guild and Mages Guild daily repeatable quests, like those are like people have a reason to do those now because you get scripts from those.
I will say overall, like I really enjoyed the scribing like grind, like the question. I thought it was very good. If I had to give some feedback, my only feedback would be like the 3 runes repeatable situation. Like every time you did it, you had to do the 3 runes, and it was like 1, 2, 3.
Yeah.
I think that could have just been 1. Like I didn't think that the 3 was needed. Like that was the really part. Like that kind of thing to me is really what pushes like the grindy feel, where it's like I'm doing this just to do 3 times every time, and it's like I think that could have just been 1 rune, and it still. I don't think it would have made that big a difference.
I agree. It was a little tedious at times.
Yeah,
certainly.
But I do think the NPCs and the parts to that quest were really well designed. And then, like you said, like when you got to the challenge part, all the different options, they did a good job of like however you play this game. You can play it your way to complete these challenges, and they did a good job of being like a really good variety on those.
Yeah, that is true. Like when you get to a certain part and you can choose like, okay, how do you want to get to the next step? You can do a crafting thing, or hey, you want to play a battleground or whatever. And yeah, pretty neat.
Yeah. Well, like I think there was one of them where it was like you could do a battleground. You could, I'm trying to think here. It was like a battleground, kill a delve boss, or win a Tales of Tribute match. And it was like, whoa, like
yeah,
we're huge variety here. Like like, you got all aspects covered here.
Yeah, it's neat. It's like, which kind of gamer are you? Yeah. Pick the one you want. I like that.
Absolutely.
So far with scribing, it's not. I feel like we said this with Arcanist, and I'm saying it again now. It's not as hugely impactful on PvP as I was thinking was going to be, at least right out of the gate.
100% with you on this. Like, drastically different than what I expected. I thought this was just the whole world was going to be different.
Same here. We were saying that leading up to like, okay, get ready. We're not even going to know what game we're playing anymore. It's going to be so topsy-turvy. But not really the case. You log in and it's still ESO. You're still seeing the same stuff, and there are some new skills being thrown around and stuff like that. And you will be wondering like, oh, I wonder what that was. But it's not like, you're suddenly somewhere else or whatever.
Yeah, I haven't seen enough of the scribing to think like it's more been just very niche skills used where it's like not even used a whole bunch. And if it is, even the ones I've seen, it's probably only been like, one person in a BG using a skill that it's like, oh, I'm not sure what's going on there.
Yeah, and a lot of what's being used is that Wield Soul ability, which is very like not flashy, you don't even see it a lot of the time. But I do see a lot of the Ulfsild's contingency. I do see that a lot. I don't know what it's doing, but I do see it, out there quite a bit. But I wonder if it'll be like like a slow trickle, like over time, it will become more impactful. Because, I was thinking about this because we had the same reaction to the Arcanist. Like leading up to the Arcanist being introduced, we were like, man, this is going to change everything. This is going to be a whole different game. And then the Arcanist was introduced, and that really wasn't the case. They really just kind of fit right in, and everything was fine. But now some time has passed, and we never really had a moment like, oh, this is what Arcanist is capable of. But it does seem like just slowly but surely they have creeped their way into being very dominant in the meta.
Oh yeah, they're one of the best classes in the game now.
Yeah, and actually quite impactful, especially in the pre-made area. They're maybe equally valuable to a warden in a group, which is saying quite a bit. So it's like time has kind of revealed what that class is really capable of, and it might be a similar thing here with spellcrafting. Like it's going to be a slow trickle. Like there might not be like one single moment where we're just like blown away by spellcrafting, but if we look back a year from now and take stock of things, we'll see like, okay, yeah, we found all kinds of ways to implement this into builds and team comps and things like that.
Yeah, I could see that. I mean, you got to think we're what, a week in. That's a week for people to complete the entire scribing quest. And then even if you complete the quest, you got to farm all of these different pieces and get the ones if you're trying to get specific. So I can definitely see
scripts.
Yes, thank you. The scripts. I can definitely see over time as more, with more time, completing more quests, getting more scripts, we start to see these roll on. So, and get more popular. I could definitely see that. That's a great point.
Pellinal White Strake, thanks for joining us, man. Good to see you.
Yeah,
so that'll probably be kind of like a slow trickle thing. I have been enjoying it. I'll talk about some of that later, but I've been using a few scripts and some stuff. Primarily, my Nightblade has been the one that I've really been enjoying it on. I'm still trying to get the script that I need for my Necromancer to get him a special ability, but yeah, it's cool. It's been good.
Very nice.
And we already talked about the skill styles, but those are cool. I'm using the blue vigor on everything. I got the red venom arrow on one of my tunes, which you can't even really see. It's kind of silly. I also got the orange whirling blades, which I am using on my Stamsork Taint, and it actually does show up pretty good on him because he's a Sork with that lightning form, and those orange whirly thingies show up pretty good against that.
So it looks pretty good on that one, huh?
Yeah, it's not bad.
I was excited for that one. I hadn't seen that one yet, but I was excited for its potential.
What else has been going on? Starjumper, you've been logged in an awful lot lately, and you've said you've hardly started the quest. So what the heck have you been doing?
Here's the deal. If I can walk us through my squirreling journey, if you will. So I had all the best intentions to hop in. Let's knock out this quest. I'm gonna hit the lore, get a good idea. So I log in strictly to start the quest. I log in on Davius. That's my questing character. He's completed every expansion in the main quest. Like, he's my questing character. He gets all those achievements. So I log in, and then I realize, oh, you know what? I didn't ever do the prologue for the Golden Road. Well, then I go on, I realize, well, I didn't do the Necrom prologue either. So I'm actually going to start on the Necrom prologue. And this is where it really starts squirreling. So then I realized, okay, usually what I quest with is my heavy attack build on Davis's Templar. And then I realized I accidentally deconned my heavy attack helm. So then I was like, well, let me run this dungeon real quick to get a helm. So I run the dungeon, get the helm, got it on the first run, going well. So then I go complete the Necrom prologue. Then I go complete the Golden Road prologue. Completed both the prologues, and then I thought, before I get the quest, I want to make sure I get this scribing started. So then I go do the scribing quest, complete the full scribing quest line on my main, and then I actually logged on to Lord of Nords and got that first scribing part done just so that he could actually unlock scribing and purchase from the vendor. Just from what I was talking about last episode is that I really wanted to get this shield throw that bashes enemies so I can have like a ranged proc for Drake's Rush. So then I start editing build editor, start putting builds together, testing out some builds. And I ended up just scrapping the whole idea for Lord of Nords, just completely revamp. Like, I truly think, we've talked about this a lot with one bar builds. You kind of have to have a singular purpose, and that's what you kind of have to do. And the shield throw with the Drake's Rush, with what he is, kind of the brawler, I was just trying to put too much on a one bar build. It just wasn't all fitting. It was just trying to do too many things. And so I completely scrapped the build, come up with a whole new idea from Lord of Nords, even different from his last build. And so I spent all week and weekends, all the time playing, farming his brand new build. And then I finally finished it the day before yesterday, and then spent the majority of yesterday testing his new build. So new expansion comes up. I did have 2 family, weekend vacations tied into that too. But basically, new expansion comes out, and I spent that whole time doing existing content outside the scribing, but the majority of the time doing existing content in existing dungeon runs to farm a new build setup.
Perfect timing
To get all that done. So that's been my squirreling story of how I found my way into not doing the quests, which would be, this is all stuff I could have done before the expansion came out, but that's just not the way it worked out for me.
Yeah, I get it. You get an itch for a build. There's nothing you can do.
That's really what happened. And it's the Lord of Nords build. Like that's really, if Lord of Nords builds isn't set, then I get a little antsy, get a little twitch to my step.
Well, I mean, you're gonna lay the build on us or what?
Yeah, we can dive right into it. You don't have to say Lord of Nords twice to me. So here's the deal, and I'll start with a disclaimer. This may be a more boring Lord of Nords. I could see that argument, but I would argue this.
Bored of Nords?
Don't you dare! Nobody spread that. I don't want to hear that. Nobody.
Should that be the episode title?
Bored of Nords. Oh no! It's catching on already. It's going viral. But I will say this. This is my argument. This is like Lord of Nords is a true to form DK build now. Like he is a DK build through and through.
It's very straightforward, but proven good, DK build.
So what the build is, Oaken Soul Ring, still 1 bar, 5-piece Burning Spell Weave. That's that one's in bold there. 2-piece Blood Spawn, Black Rose Dual Wield, 1-piece Trainee, 1-piece Druid. So the big change there, obviously, is that Burning Spell Weave, the classic OG DK set.
Oh yeah,
putting it on
since time immemorial, and
it's just so good on a DK. It's just, there's a reason why it still lives up. Like it's still a usable set.
There's a reason I farmed that Fire Staff for so long before set curation and never got it.
Absolutely. The bar setup is Flames of Oblivion. That's the spammable. Molten Whip, Quick Cloak, Vigor, Coagulating Blood, and then still Ferocious Leap for the ult. So he's still Lord of Leaping, still leaping a lot. And I think the biggest change is just this. I went from 5,100 weapon and spell damage to 6,200 weapon and spell damage. And you can tell. Like, that's a big difference.
Yeah. For your heals as well.
Yeah,
as well
absolutely. It's huge. It's still a very tanky and brawly build. Shout out Uncle Sam. I actually dueled Uncle Sam with this build. That's a good way to test your new build. Go challenge Sam to a duel. And I lived.
No, I disagree. It's a terrible way.
Don't do that.
If you want to think your build is absolute trash, go test it against Sam.
But I have to say, I got the Sam stamp of approval of, he actually said, that build's tanky. He was like, you were tough to tank down. And I survived a good long while.
Nice. Very nice.
So I will say, like, the tankiness is still there. He's still very brawly, testing in the BGs. Still felt like he could get right up in the fight, But now there's this whole new level of, like, he has always been brawly and could be at the front of the fight, but it had to be very specific of how to utilize the damage to make it effective, because he just didn't really hit that hard before with that low weapon and spell damage. And now, like, I can feel the pressure that he's doing. I can feel that weapon of spell damage hitting and actually putting more pressure on the teams where they're actually have to watch out for the damage.
And it's such a simple, because you just spam 3 Flames of Oblivion and a whip, right?
Exactly, and that's really the best part about this build is truly its simplicity. It is extreme simplicity. First of all, you got a 1-bar build, so like don't even worry about your buffs or anything like that. But you said it, the combo is just 3 Flames of Oblivion and then your whip, and then just repeat that. Leap whenever leap's available. Throw a leap in there. You keep Quick Cloak up. Keep Vigor up. That's very simple to do. And then you just have the coag when needed. And if you really kind of want to, piece a combo together, I recommend, tie that whip in with a leap. Usually I would say leap, then throw the whip, and it's kind of a good combo of damage if you really are looking kind of for a finisher. But you're exactly right. The simplicity of this build is it's all there. It's got good pressure. It's got great defensive ability, good heals, good sustain. Like that bar is an extremely cheap, very low costs.
They're all very low costing abilities.
Very low costing abilities. And you can tell, like when you play this build, the sustain is better than Lord of Nord's been on any of his builds. And you still have the leap. When you hit the leap, it's still resetting, and it's a good distribution of just enough magicka and just enough stamina where it's really spread out and it's still low costing. So you're never really running out. I'm not getting, running out of sustain as much as I nearly used to, which lets me stay in the fight longer and lets me keep doing damage. So
you're still getting your ultimate a lot. I mean, you're a Nord with Bloodspawn and the permanent minor heroism. With
absolutely. He's still very much the Lord of Leaping. The Nord, the Bloodspawn, the minor heroism, still leaping aplenty. No worries there. Still a lot of leaps. But that's another benefit to it is the leaps actually hurt now. It can if I've got somebody on the team with Rally, it's a 20k tooltip leap. So it can hit hard.
Flames of Oblivion is a fun spammable because it's super cheap. It hits 3 targets at a time, and you can use it as a spammable. It's like this kind of every 5 seconds thing is how it's supposed to be used, but it does instant damage. And what's nice is you don't have to aim at anybody at all. It just automatically, these fireballs will just fire out from your character in random directions and just hit people on their own. You don't even have to know who you're targeting.
Yeah.
It's pretty funny.
And I think that's the crazy part about it is the 15-meter range. Like, so it's exactly
great it's perfect for what you're trying to do with that dude that's just trying to run in there and be a wrecking ball, because you can just run in blindly almost and just spam that thing, and just be hurting people and just pick someone and whip them.
I can absolutely tell using that as my spammable, it's allowed me to have such better positioning because that's mainly what I'm focused on is just where, what's the best positioning, because I don't have to worry. Like I'm spamming my spammable without even worrying about focusing or targeting.
You can be like running away from someone and spamming that at them,
Exactly.
Like you don't even have to like look at them.
It really is. It is a great spammable.
Yeah. And it's cheap, and with that setup of yours, I mean, I was looking at your tooltips. I think it's like 8K. Not bad for a spammable, for an AoE spammable, essentially.
Yeah, absolutely.
Not to mention, it has that every 5 seconds thing. So when you are whipping and leaping and all that stuff, it's comboing with that as well.
And that is huge too. That is something that is very noticeable. Like, when I was talking about like a really kind of a good kind of combo is that third whip, tie it with a leap. But when that Flames of Oblivion goes on top of that, like it really is. It stacks a lot of damage. You can see that hit somebody hard.
It's nice setup.
Yeah, it feels really, really good. I will say this: I still like the idea of the the ranged Drake's Rush.
Oh, there's something there for sure.
There's definitely something there, but I think it has to be. Yeah, I think you're right. It's got to be a group probably build, and it probably needs to be some level of support, maybe a 50-50 support or a support style build. But I think that's the way to go. I want to put it on
a Warden instead, you think?
Yeah, that's kind of what I have in mind. I think a 50-50 Warden with that ability, I think would be really, really good for a group. Because I have tested it. Like I've thrown on Drake's Rush and used that short, the shield throw ability, and it's a 28-meter range to proc, major heroism for your entire team. It's a pretty awesome setup.
Yeah, you got to put that on something.
Yeah,
I mean, that's just too good.
It's too good to be true. So it'll find its way in something. I just got to figure out what that best setup will be.
Nice. Is that all you've been up to, or you got anything else?
That's it, Lord of Nords. Just I finally farmed the build, got him in a sweet spot. It's I will say this, like fully golded out. Like I went all the way. This is Lord of Nords we're talking about. We're going gold from head to toe.
Nice. What are is it bloodthirsty jewelry or what? Or infused?
I went infused. That's actually a big change.
Okay, nice.
And I will say this, with him specifically, and kind of with
good.
Well, yeah, I think infused or bloodthirsty, both are very, very good. Like I think that's easy, very, very simplistic. But for him specifically, kind of what I was talking about with those 1-bar builds, kind of with that theme mentality, is that really what I was going here is that he, I want him to be that really true DK brawler. And I think in order for him to do that, the infused made more sense for him because it's stronger heals, lets him make it really, spreads those fights out longer, makes them take longer, pushes those fights out where he can reset and burn through an enemy sustain. And then it's just constant pressure. Like with a DK, to me, they're, we've talked about this a lot. Their best situation is that they're constantly putting pressure on you and they're constantly resetting and staying alive. And so the longer a fight goes, I feel like it's the better to the benefit of the DK. And so I think that infused just made more sense for that mentality.
Yeah. Not to derail, but it occurred to me another great thing about Flames of Oblivion is it's direct damage. So if you have charged weapons you're applying, you get a really, really high uptime on burning status as well. You get a lot of extra damage from that.
Yep, absolutely. I have a Nern honed, and then the off weapon is a charged.
Yeah, nice. On my DK, on the dual wield bar, I have a charge decisive, and that feels pretty nice. Might give that a try sometime.
Interesting. I like that idea. Yeah. Always love
those leaps, I know.
Oh, yeah. More leaps, always good.
Yeah, it synergizes pretty nice, because DKs, they benefit quite a bit from both. But Nernhone too, though, they get a benefit to that. So
yeah, absolutely.
Well, I've been playing a lot lately as well. Of course, like I said, I did all that questing. But, that took me 2 days, and then I've just been doing BGs the rest of the time. I put quite a bit of time into making a new YouTube video. I thought I'd just plug that really quick for Old Betsy. It's been quite a while, but I made an official build video for Old Betsy with graphics and illustrations and everything. So just search for Ket Sparrowhawk on YouTube if you want to see that. It's basically the same build that I talked about on the last episode. It's just kind of a deep dive of that. And I've really been just trying to play her a lot more with a team-oriented mentality and all of that. And I don't know, I feel like I'm kind of getting back to her roots in a way, which is fun. But really the character, for the last few days at least, that I've really been into is Catface Johnson, my Khajiit Nightblade. And his build hasn't changed a whole lot, but he is really the only toon I have right now that's using a scribing skill. So I'll just go through his build really quick. It is Soul Cleaver as a double bar set, War Maiden on the front bar with a lightning staff, Master Bow on the back bar, Gaze of Sithis, Mythic Helm, and One Piece Magma. And I've been preaching the gospel of this Soul Cleaver set, and no Nightblade main in the world will believe me. Nightblade mains hate this set, I swear. But I love this set. It really is the secret sauce, and I think this is one of the better Nightblade builds possible, period. And that's coming from not a Nightblade main, I know, but I've played a lot of Nightblade, and I think it's pretty darn good. So Soul Cleaver is that Infinite Archive class set. It buffs all of your siphoning abilities. So I'm using Swallow Soul, which is a ranged spammable that heals me based on the damage done. So with Soul Cleaver, that does 18% more damage and heals me for 18% more, and it costs 18% less. I'm also using Shrewd Offering, which is already hilariously cheap and heals for a ton. So it's 18% stronger, 18% cheaper. Siphoning attacks, your main sustain tool. Every time you do damage, you get some extra resources and it heals you. Well, it heals for 18% more, and when you cast it, costs health to give you even more resources. That health cost is reduced as well. So that right there is a huge benefit.
That is huge.
And then the Soul Tether ultimate, an amazing ultimate, basically a better alternative to Dawnbreaker. 18% more damage, 18% cheaper. you know, and also there's a heal attached to that as well that gets buffed as well. So you're just getting so many good things out of Soul Cleaver if you build around it and you really go into that kind of Blood Mage play style. And there's other siphoning abilities that I'm not using that are great, like Power Extraction, very popular ability that Nightblades use. That would get buffed by this set as well. So I can't say enough good things about it. Again, if you want to just see examples, you can go to my YouTube channel, and I have several videos of this dude in action. Super fun build, very much a team player as well. Like, he's stealthy. He uses invisibility, certainly, and he has lots of movement speed. And if he needs to play solo and be that lone wolf, that's absolutely no problem. But if he's got a team to play with, then he definitely brings stuff to the table. He doesn't just fall over like a typical stealthy Nightblade. Like, he's pretty hardy. You know, he's got like 35k health. He's got that major evasion bubble. You know, pretty darn good heals. He body blocks, you know, quite a bit.
That's the Nightblade I want on my team right there.
yeah. The stealth is just one of the tools that he has, but he's not crutching on it all the time. Yeah, I kind of play him similar to how I play Old Betsy. You know, just kind of in the moment. Do I need to be killing someone? Do I need to be saving a teammate? Do I need to body block? Whatever. This is the best Nightblade build that I think I've ever put together. Really just because of Soul Cleaver. I have War Maiden as my front bar set, really just because I already have it. It's already the traits. It's already golded out. There's probably something better, but I don't know. This is shredding just fine, so I'm just sticking with it.
It's got good results.
Yeah. I might try Shield Breaker. I actually put that on my Sork yesterday, and it seems pretty good. That's like you get a 6% extra damage done, or 12% if someone has a damage shield active, which there's a lot of those these days.
Everybody in a BG now. Yeah. That's the thing I would say about that set, is that in the current environment, that is a fantastic set. You might as well just count on the 12%.
Really not bad.
Shield galore.
I was talking about it in the Discord a couple of days ago, and I went ahead. You can just buy it at Guild Traders, but I stuck it on my Sork just to try it out. It seems good, but that 6%, that's basically equivalent to having like a Spriggan 5-piece bonus, like 4,000 penetration. It's about that much worth of damage. So, you know, you figure even when someone doesn't have a damage shield, you're getting a Spriggan 5-piece bonus against them, you know, and then when they do, you're doubling that. So that's nice.
Yeah, absolutely. That is good.
So I think I'll probably stick with that on my Sork for a while and just see, you know, after some time passes, am I still digging it or what? Because, fighting other Sorks, those are the hardest people to kill right now.
Absolutely.
It's the sorcerers.
The damage shields are just huge. And forget, like, you come down to 10% health, who cares? Like, doesn't mean anything, because they're going to have a damage shield that's just through the
that shield with the pretty juicy heal attached to it at the same time is the thing. Yeah, and they can just spam the heck out of it.
Once you see the shield on them, by the time you actually burn through it, they're full health again. Like, no problem.
Yeah. Especially if they have, a lot of them don't even have any other heal than that, but, you know, like my Sork has Vigor as well, so I cast Vigor and a damage shield, and I'm all good after that. You know, I don't worry about anything.
I ran into a team that, you know, it was just, you know, the solo queue, but I ran into a team that was 3 Sorks and an Arcanist, and it was just, oh my goodness, it was just damage shields everywhere, all over the place.
It's ridiculous. They need to nerf the heck. They need to nerf the heck out of Hardened Ward.
Yeah.
I saw someone suggest maybe they should turn that heal into a heal over time, because you know now that it's on there, they're not going to take it off.
You can't. Yeah, you can't.
The best you can hope for is a nerf.
Yeah, 100%.
So maybe if they turned it into a heal over time, that would be good. But anyway, I'm talking about my Nightblade.
How these Sorks sneak their way in here?
He's my only character that I'm really like. I've tried some scribing stuff on a few tunes, but he's the one that is like, okay, this is a permanent spot on the skill bar. Mm-hmm. And it's just, it's called Dazing Soul. Like, depending on the scripts that you use, they have different names, but it's the Wield Soul ability, the long range, soul magic ability. And I just put a stun on it, and it applies Major Breach. So just like I was talking to, I think in the last episode, you know, it's just a stun with Major Breach applied to it. Very convenient for bar space and all that. Plus, there just aren't any range stuns, period, besides this in the game, you know, with the full long range. And it's awesome for a Nightblade, man. It's so you can line up that combo so nicely. And the fact that it's just applying that major breach also is just such nice icing on the cake. But yeah, ever since I put this on the bar, man, this dude is cooking. That was like the one little piece that was missing.
That's awesome to hear.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I mean it's deadly though. It is deadly. You get those 5 stacks for that merciless resolve, and then most people don't even know what this skill is right now because that stun, like it doesn't knock you back. Your character just kind of crouches down on the ground, and so it kind of takes a second for you to even realize, like, why am I stunned? What's happening? But by then it's too late. The merciless resolve already took your head off.
Yeah,
you know?
That's already once that thing hits you, you're either dead or about to be.
yeah, or the impale's coming right in behind it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I've been having a lot of fun with the Nightblade. There's few things that are more fun than a Nightblade. It's like it's a class that's actually pretty hard to master, though. I feel like a lot of people don't understand that because they think, well, you can just turn invisible and just kill anyone you want. It's the way that their damage is packed into their kit. You really have to like surgically deliver that combo. It's not just a guaranteed kill every time, but you main a Nightblade for like a week. You kind of find that zone, you get into that groove, and man, it's so satisfying to land those combos. You've kind of find these, you find this timing and stuff that it's hard to explain really. You just kind of have to play it a lot and feel it out for yourself. But so fun.
Well, and I would say, and I don't play Nightblade very often at all, but I would even say like Cloak is an ability that like good Nightblade players like really know how to use that ability. Like one, just having Cloak doesn't mean you're always going to get away. Like good players know how to use Cloak and then still get out of a bad situation. And two, like there's a difference from a Nightblade player that just runs off to a corner and then just crouches and then just stays invisible and just stays that way until opportune moments. And then there's other players that like can remain active and utilize Cloak and utilize the invisibility, but still just keep pressure and keep damage.
There's a
skill level to the invisibility tied in with the Nightblade where you're remaining active and not just staying out of the fight until a opportune moment, and then you're back out of a fight again. Like
those are the scariest Nightblades. I call them stealth brawlers, and like they're
exactly.
they're aggressive. They are up in the action. They're not running away from anything, and they're just going to like disappear from your vision all of a sudden, and it's going to be a terrifying moment for you.
Yes. Exactly.
Yeah, and this dude has the extra advantage of being long range as well. So, but I actually kind of like it when people put Mage Light on me or something when they're suppressing me out of stealth, because they assume that this is a Nightblade, so you take their stealth away and they're dead meat. But that's not the case at all for this guy, because when you're building into these siphoning abilities, there's just a lot of healing attached to like basically everything that you do. So there's just a lot of healing. He's got a lot of health. He's got the major evasion, lots of movement speed. He's 3 swift, and that phantasmal escape bubble with the major evasion gives you snare removal and free roll dodges as well.
Oh, I forgot about the free roll dodges thing. Yeah.
No one can lock this dude down, man. And you're right. I use stealth sparingly. Like if somebody gets to jump on me, like if I'm needing to scramble away or something like that, I do not stealth first. That's the worst thing you can do. What I do is I do a roll dodge, and on my bow bar to get that major expedition, I cast my my bubble, and I create some distance. Then I turn invisible, because if I turn invisible right away, they're just going to pull me out of stealth, and then I'm going to be dead meat. You got to create some distance first, then turn invisible.
Yeah.
Only other thing I have to say about the Nightblade is he's using the master bow on the back bar just out of convenience. It's just kind of the only thing that fits there, so that's what I'm using. I wish they would buff the master bow. Like when you compare it to other arena weapons, it's just lackluster. I'm glad that it exists for like situations like this where it's like, well, it's the thing that makes sense there.
Mm-hmm.
But it's 330 weapon damage against this specific target that has this specific ability on them. If they didn't dodge it, if they didn't cleanse it, it's not a stat that's going on my stat sheet or anything like that. They need to buff it. We've said it before on the show. I'm saying it's been a while though. We're saying it again.
We're
buff
saying
the master
it again.
bow.
I wish it just gave you the weapon and spell damage. Like that would be an unbelievable arena weapon if it just gave you the damage buff and it didn't matter. It just gave it to you. It didn't apply it to a specific character. Like
Yeah,
that's the way that bow should be.
And it's when you cast the ability.
Yeah,
I think
absolutely. I think that's the way that it should be. I mean, you got to think like the master staff, the flame staff, frosted, whichever one.
Oh yeah,
but like that's giving you 600 weapon and spell damage, and it's a short window. But it's like if that can give you 600 weapon and spell damage, then the bow should be better.
Yeah, I think so. Either that or, I mean, I agree. That's what I would prefer. But if they don't want to do that, then just keep it how it is, but just make the number bigger. Make it 500 weapon and spell damage against that target or whatever. Because you can't just cast this once. People spam dodge all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Like this is my opener. Like I open with Venom Arrow. I never can just cast it once and then do my combo. I have to cast it like 2 or 3 times at least because it's gonna get dodged. And I have to make sure it's on them so that I have my Master Bow buff, plus that's another dot that's on them.
Yeah.
So, you kind of have to do a lot of work for this thing. They need to buff it. Anyway, that's Catface Johnson. Okay, one more thing they'll talk about that I've been up to. I haven't really dug into it yet, but I'm a bit of a housing person these days. And I got that Khajiit house that's right outside of Ralka, which I should have got a long time ago. It's really cheap.
Yeah.
But I think it's called Stillwater's Retreat, right by the Outlaws Refuge there. I'm looking forward to actually setting this place up. It's going to be really cool. It's like just the exact perfect size house, I think, for what I want to do there.
Yeah, I'm excited to see you decorate this place. I want to see how you put it together. I visited your snug pod. It's awesome. It's fantastic.
You like the snug pod?
Love the snug pod.
It's just like a hodgepodge of all like the random housing stuff I've accumulated over the years, just from random quest rewards or login rewards or whatever stuff, and antiquities that I find. So this stuff's been clogging up my inventory, so I just threw it all in there.
There's, the snug pod. It's cool. I can see the allure to the snug pod.
Yeah, if you're looking for a way to get started in housing, the snug pod's a great one to start because it's just the right size you can fill it up really easily, but it's big enough to kind of really do something in there.
Yeah,
it's cool. We're a housing podcast now, people.
There we go.
PvP,
housing.
PvP's in the past. We're done. We've been there, done that.
And everybody's stopping. Like all listeners have stopped listening at this point.
Yep, we lost our audience. We took a risk. We took a pivot. Did not pay off.
That happens sometimes.
SquirrelingPodcast@gmail.com is our email address. Please send us emails. Davis, what could they email us about? Take it away.
They could email us a good joke about food. We love good food.
Please, food.
Email us. Yeah, I'll throw one in there. Email us your favorite book. What's your favorite? Where's your vote? What's your favorite book? Scrolling Podcast. Let us know.
Yeah, I mean, only nerds read, but sure, yeah, you could do that. I mean,
I guess so. I mean, if you send that email, Ket may call you a nerd. There's no protection from that. Just be prepared.
It could happen. It may have already happened.
It may have already preemptively happened.
Shout out to a friend. Just say hello. Whatever you want. Mm-hmm. Scrollingpodcast@gmail.com. It's time for the weekly email from Chumpy.
Here we go.
Chumpy says, "You did not just, in the last podcast, call me out for squeezing in just before the cutoff mark on emails. Oh, ho, ho, no, you didn't. So this fortnight, I'm sending the email steadfastly fast. Your ESO characters, Mary, Kiss, Cole. Good luck. Prematurely, Chumpy."
Prematurely, Chumpy. I like it. I need to know when this email came in.
Yeah, he sent it like right after the last episode came out.
That's fantastic. Perfect.
Like the next day. So
Perfect.
It's been like 2 weeks.
Perfect.
I'm gonna let you take this one first. So Mary Kiss, he didn't say kill, he said Cole.
Cole
basically means the same thing.
Okay. Mary Kiss Kill. I've got a straight list of male characters, so here you go.
Yeah,
and I ain't holding back.
Wait.
I ain't holding back from this.
Okay.
On Marion, Davia Starjumper, this character has literally existed in like every Elder Scrolls game since Morrowind. He's been through it all. you know this guy's got a fortune hidden away somewhere. All of the relics, all of the homes. This guy,
he's a natural, like, he's a caretaker too.
Yeah,
he's gonna like make sure you're all set.
He's a great guy. That's who I'm marrying. You know, he's set. You don't have to worry about money.
We're a family show. I gotta keep my comments.
I can see. I hear them on the tip of your tongue. Kiss. I'm kissing old Lord of North. What a beautiful man.
I bet he's an excellent kisser.
That guy's kissed a time or two. Don't you worry.
He'll give you a dip.
That.
You'll get.
He's got a dip in his mouth 24/7. All right. He wakes up.
That's not what I mean.
No.
Isn't that what it called when you dip the lady backwards? You know, and you kiss them like in the old like black and white movies.
I'm so glad we misunderstood each other, because Lord of North's definitely's got a dip in his mouth. Okay, he brushes his teeth with a dip in his lower lip. All right, so there's a flavor package happening there. Don't you worry about it.
That's good.
And then the Cole. Here we go. Grizzly Con. He's on board. No. He's on board. The Cole, I think I'm going to have to take out, this is a tough one. I think I'm going to take out old Gift of the Rift. If you've seen this guy, he's shady. Don't trust Gift of the Rift. Okay. He's my Nightblade. He just looks shady. You got to take that guy out.
He kind of does. He has that look.
He's got a handlebar mustache. Yeah, he's very smug. I mean, that nickname he gave to himself. Nobody gave
self-applied. No one has ever called him that.
He has made that his nickname. Nobody gifted that to him. So that's my call right there.
All right. Okay. Well, I got a mix of characters here to choose from. It's funny. You married your main character. I'm going to marry my main character, old Betsy.
Oh yeah.
Similar reason. And Betsy's she's just going to get business taken care of. Like I need like someone to like make sure that I like, get stuff done. And Betsy's going to do that. She's going to like hold me accountable.
Yeah. Old Betsy, you're a trophy husband at that point. She'll take care of the rest.
Oh yeah, she's gonna like give me a piggyback ride when I need it and all that kind of stuff. So I think she's exactly the kind of woman I need in my life.
There you go.
I would kiss Aunt Lola. She's my warden, and she's a little bit later in life, but she had a wild side in her younger years. Let me tell you. I bet she has some tricks. Yeah, she has some experience. I bet she knows a trick or two.
She knows a thing or two. You can tell.
Kiss Aunt Lola. And it's hard to cull any of my characters. I like them all, right? And I think I just have to be pragmatic about it. And it's actually a character that I like a lot. But I have 2 of every class, but I have 3 Dragon Knights, so it only makes sense that I would get rid of one of those Dragon Knights. And my least good Dragon Knight is Bad Sally. One of my favorite characters.
Mm-hmm.
But her build isn't great, and she's an orc, which isn't a bad class, but not necessarily an ideal class.
Correction, race.
Not as good as a Nord, not as good as a Breton, which is my other 2.
Mm-hmm.
So just from a logical standpoint, I would get rid of Bad Sally. Marry Betsy, kiss Lola, cull Sally.
Great choices.
Well, there you go, Chumpy. Great email. Thanks, man.
Great email. Great questions. Great email.
And very expeditious. Is that the word? I don't know.
Yeah. Steadfast.
Steadfastly fast. Next email comes from Brian. Brian says, "Hey guys, I came across your channel in February this year and have been enjoying every episode I've listened to, as well as clips of your builds on YouTube. Shout out to Dark Energy and area of effect for mentioning the guild and podcast." Yep, shout out. Thank you very much. I do have a question for y'all. If either of you have ever wondered if you had to start all over in ESO, would you pick the same class as your current main? Or have you ever wanted to change your main but didn't want to leave behind all your progress? I've mained a Templar for years, but lately I've wondered if I had to start over from scratch, would I pick a Templar again? Anyway, thank y'all for all y'all do. Brian.
Yeah,
Davis, if you had to do it again, would you make a different main?
Great
class?
question. Great email from Brian. Very nice, very kind.
Yeah.
Appreciate the nice thoughts.
Excellent email.
Great
Yes,
email.
thank you very much.
I've definitely thought about this, and I definitely see where he's coming from. Like Davius, my main, like he does my quest. If I have to quest, he's the one doing it. Like it would drive me nuts if I completed a story with a different character and that was his one story not completed. So I absolutely get that. My main is also Davius. He's a Templar. And I have thought about that. I think Dragon Knight has probably become my favorite class. Just my love for Lord of Nords and his ability and how he's become my BG main and playing BGs. I love the way the DK class plays. And so that's probably become my favorite class, where when I first started playing, Templar was my favorite, and that's how Davius ended up a Templar. And so, yeah, I would potentially change Davius to a DK, but it's not a huge want, just because I have Lord of Nords for the BGs, and I think Templar is a good questing class. Like it is, you go quest and throw some jabs on, and you're set. Like you'll get through any quest with jabs, toppling charge jabs. You can get moving on some quest chains. But I think if I had the opportunity, I'd probably maybe switch Davius to a DK.
That's interesting because you were only healing for such a long time there.
Yeah,
that would have been pretty tough on a DK.
That is true. Tricky to do on a DK. Tricky setup there. That is true. It's hard for me to imagine that, because like I can't even imagine Davius anything other than a Templar. But I'm trying to think at it from a sense of like my favorite class to play now is a DK. And so if I was to make a brand new character, like my favorite class now is a DK, but Davius, I'd have to make Davius. He would guaranteed be my first character to make. So it'd be a tough choice.
Well, I'm basically playing two different games here. Like questing and stuff is one game, and PvP and stuff is a different game, and I have different preferences, for those things.
It's a great point.
Like if I had it to do again, I think I would probably do exactly what I did the first time. I would make a Khajiit Nightblade. Just knowing myself, that's what I'm drawn to in like these kind of fantasy games. I like sneaking in the shadows. I like feeling like I'm kind of getting away with something or something like that, and it's just a fun way to play. And in most like fantasy kind of settings, that's what I do. But when it comes to playing with other human beings, and we're all coordinating together, and I'm trying to contribute as much as I possibly can in that situation, that's a totally different like mind space that I'm in. I'm not role playing anymore. I'm not really interested in lurking in the shadows anymore, because that's not the scenario we're doing here. Like we're so I don't know. Yeah, like when it comes to like PvP and fighting other players and stuff like that, I'm much more drawn to the idea of being loud and proud, and kind of being up in the action and being aggressive and going for it. And I've done the Nightblade thing lots and lots of times, but I've even with Nightblade, I've adapted to a more kind of forward way of playing. And so it's just if I had to do it again, I think I would do it exactly the same way I do now. And I just have a PvP main. It's a different class.
Yeah, I that's probably a good answer to say, is that like I like the setup I have where Davius is kind of my PvE and then Lord of Nords, and I have other characters too, but I would consider Lord of Nords he's my PvP main. And so it's nice having that split, I would say. It's a good, like I would say that for both of us, like that's worked out well for both of us to kind of have that setup.
Yeah, and as far as like leveling up other characters and worrying about the progress, like I only think about progress on my questing tune. That too. That's not even on my mind at all for any other characters, unless I just need something for their build or whatever. But for them, I'm just leveling up the character to make a build with them, and nothing else is even on my mind with them.
Yeah.
Thanks for writing, Brian.
Yep. Great email.
Those are the only two from Chumpy and Brian. Thanks for writing, guys. Squirrelingpodcast@gmail.com. Any suggestions for the show? Any questions you'd like to hear us answer? Say hello. Shout out to a friend. Say hi, Mom. What else? Like maybe like, I don't know, shoe related questions. I like shoes. I don't know.
Email us and you let us know what you think. What Lord of Nord's dip flavor is.
If we could name a monster truck, what names would we come up with?
Oh, that's a good one.
All right, guys, please write that one for
somebody.
Next time,
ask us that one. We could come up with some classics.
I remember that all-time great. Like if each class was a member of a band. That was from Zemo. Yeah. I'm pretty sure that was a great one.
Great one. Great question.
That was so fun. Okay, we have a guild. The guild's name is Stoons Goons. It is literally the best PvP guild in the game, and it just so happens to be the best named guild on the PC NA, Xbox NA, and PlayStation NA servers. PlayStation's gotten a few new members here recently. Shout out.
Nice.
It's good to see. Oh, but yeah, I made a note here. We do need PlayStation goons. We need, the Xbox goons are kind of putting us all to shame. They're like going nuts over there. I had to like silo them off into their own section of the Discord server because they were just like exploding everywhere. Too many Xbox goons. No, not too many. Just the right amount.
They're doing fantastic. They are doing awesome things.
I'm just trying to stay out of their way, man. Let me
make sure
that freight train is rolling.
I almost said a shout out, but you got it on here, so I don't want to skip ahead.
Okay.
There we go.
Okay. Yeah. So anyway, we need some PlayStation goons. If anyone's interested, squirrelingpodcast@gmail.com. If you're on a different platform or if your guild roster is full, that's okay. The Discord is the true home of the guild. Everyone who's in the Discord is a fully fledged goon. In-game membership is not required. So scrollingpodcast@gmail.com to get that invite to the Discord or the guild or both. If you'd like to support the show, one easy thing you can do is open up the Apple Podcast app and give us a star rating and especially a written review. If you want to go further than that, you can go to patreon.com/scrollingpodcast. Sign up to receive Stoon's Boon for $3 a month. That gets you access to a few different things, including the Booncast, which is a shorter solo podcast that I do on the off weeks. If you're a member of the guild on any of the platforms, feel free to drop anything you like into the guild bank. That always helps. And the very best thing that anybody can do is just join the community, either the in-game guild or the Discord. Pretty much everything we talk about here on the show originates as a conversation in Discord with the community, or the experiences that we have playing with our friends and the people that are in the Discord with us. That all ends up here on the show. There really wouldn't be a show, or it would be severely diminished if we did not have this community.
Absolutely.
So scrollingpodcast@gmail.com again to join up. Shout out to the chat. Grizzly Khan and Pellinal Whitestrake was in here. Mm-hmm. Sam was in here for like 2 seconds, I think.
I think Icy Fire hopped in for a second or two.
He may have, until he realized that he was lost and panicked and left. And thanks for joining us, fellas. Shout out to Maddie Quinn, Uncle Sam, Ironworks, King Nar, KDMS, FK. We've all been grouping up a lot, doing a lot of kind of pre-mades and duo action. Just a lot of just group BGs in general happening here lately. Really good to see. Shout out to the PlayStation NA Goons. Grew by 50%. Gained a member. Good job, guys.
Massive increase. 50%. That's huge. Those numbers.
Hey, reminds me of the original PC Goon days, doesn't it?
It does.
Quaint beginnings.
Oh, yeah.
I love it.
We've actually got, there's Goon Guild chat when you log in nowadays. There's chat going on.
I know. It's crazy. Like when you go in, like to the actual game, the guild chat's going. Like, what is this chat color
changed.
that I've never seen before?
Times have changed.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Big shout out to Redhead Monster.
Yes.
So she's one of the guild leaders for the Xbox chapter of the Stoons Goons, and she was officially recognized as a community champion on the official ElderScrollsOnline.com website. There's a whole article written up. She's one of like 8 people chosen among 1,500 nominations. Yeah. Pretty amazing. And awesome. There's this whole like digital plaque on there with Redhead Monster's name on it. And of course, she's represented the Stoons Goons. It's the name of the guild right there. Mm-hmm. Like the Goons were official people right there on the website. Right there.
Listen, Redhead Monster is already a big deal, but now she is a really big deal, people.
Yeah.
Like we got a celebrity among us here. Big deal.
Just a top-notch human being, honestly.
Couldn't be more deserving person. Like, fantastic. So happy to see it happen. She's fantastic in everything she does. Very, very well deserved.
Yeah, we got to get that that Patreon tier for the PC, for Redhead Monsters PC going. She's an Xbox.
There we go.
Xboxer right now.
That's right. That's right.
So yeah, grats to that. That's pretty awesome. Shout out to the Friday night squads, even people who aren't even part of our guild. There's just been a lot of awesome groups queuing up for Friday night BGs. It's been super duper fun. I mean, it's kind of like the old days are back. It really is. It's been super awesome. Keep it up, guys. We're going to be here this Friday. We're going to keep that ball rolling. Shout out to the Elder Goons, the OGs. Thank you guys for being around for so long, for being our friends and supporting this whole time. We really appreciate it. And shout out to our Stoons Boon recipients, our Patreon supporters: Pork Body, Toadster, Gummy Bear, Grizzly Khan, Thomas, Taggart, Mother of Dragons, Sudica, Jim, Maxwell, Derpenstuff, Dudagon, Brewerman, Redhead Monster, Chumpy, John E. Danger, Odin, and we got a new one, FK. Thank you very much, dude. Davies, you got anything else, man?
I don't think I do. You know, I'm gonna start that Gold Road quest. Don't you?
All right, we want a full report.
Yep.
All right, guys, thank you very much for listening, and we'll see you next time.